This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Today on Faithfully Fantasy, we are talking about some hints or stuff that Satan was saying here, and one of them is when he says to Violet, "My power, my body, my soul is all yours." Doesn't mean that he's actually doing it just because he's saying it.
Going into dreams and manipulating them or planting dreams in people's heads, that's what's dangerous. She could just interrogate someone in their dream.
With Melgrin, so she can just transform herself in King Tauri and they start to
Someone
ask her
that
stuff.
We have another tick in the box that Violet can still somehow manipulate time.
Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy.
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we cover chapters 49 to 51. And just heads up, we use strong language and explore adult themes.
This episode will contain spoilers from all three books, as well as snippets of information we've had from Rebecca Yarros since the release of the third book.
And before we start with the squad brief, quick reminder, you can now subscribe for exclusive content. Think early access to episodes, bonus episodes every month, and totally ad-free listening. You can even try it for free and cancel anytime. For best deal, check out faithfullyfantasy.com, or if it's easier, subscribe right on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for instant access.
Also, if you're enjoying the show, please take a second to rate us wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all of it. It helps more fantasy lovers find us, and it's one of the easiest ways to support what we do. A quick tap and you've made our day.
Also, we want to say thank you, a big thank you for all the people who was in this live event that we did recently on Instagram. You guys, you did it amazing. We have lots of fun.
Yeah, it was so good to see the comments come in and just to be able to kind of have a chat with you all. So we'll definitely be doing that again. Just keep an eye out on our Instagram and we'll give you plenty of notice again. But yeah, super fun. We'll definitely be doing more of that.
Yes. And now, without further ado, let's get into Squad Brief.
Violet and Xaden finally get some alone time, and let's just say the headboard survives. So Xaden's venom side isn't taking over just yet, but sweet dreams are off the menu. Violet is haunted by nightmares starring the Sage, the burning city of Drathus, and a rebellion relic. Wait, what? Turns out she's in Xaden's dream. Just as they start to piece things together, the Wyverns crash the party, because in this world, peace is just the calm before another storm.
Those two, definitely they had no time to just chill out after having like a really steamy session.
It's like a bad omen.
Yeah,
when they get it on, somebody's going to knock on the door or some Wyvern's going to crash through the wards or something's going to happen.
Yes, and it's been happening since Fourth Wing. I remember the very first time when Satan got interrupted, he was saying, better be like a lot of people dead. Yeah, yes, there's a lot.
Yeah, but it was fake, wasn't it? But maybe it's a sign from the gods. Maybe they
shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff without getting married.
Yeah.
They've been sinners. That's the problem.
Says the person whose first son was at his wedding.
Oops. Okay. Time for a history lesson. Let's dive deep and see what the past is hiding about the future.
Chapter 49.
Epigraph.
While most deities allow temple attendants to choose their lifetime of service, only two require a lifetime of dedication, Dune and Loyal. For both war and love change souls irrevocably. Major Rowley's Guide to Appeasing the Gods, 2nd edition. We're going to go straight in with the theory.
Oh, started straight away with theory. Yeah.
Xaden is Loyal. Violet is Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. They are walking gods. So I think there's going to be a representation. The gods have come to Earth. I don't know that it's, actually the gods, but I do think they are kind of an incarnation of gods. And we've seen this before, haven't we? We've talked about it. There's several theories flying around. I think Scribe Jessams has a good one where she fits everyone to a god.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you check that out, you will see. I think we have them in different places, don't we? But
Yes. Something that I think will be really interesting is what happened 650 years before, if they had exactly the same gods, or if maybe there's these gods, they just appeared in the same time where the six riders came, the first six, and maybe they turned into gods themselves.
yeah, I had a feeling that there was some divine intervention in that war, because the one thing they could agree on was to get rid of the Amoralis name, to get rid of Amari from the name of the continent. So it did feel like, and they called it Amalekit. Poromil called it Amalekis. So it feels like there was possibly a war between Malak and Amari, and that was like the clash. And so neither of them could agree. So they just called it the continent.
Yeah.
But that kind of suggested that Amari and Malak were like big rivals.
I definitely think that Satan is somehow related to Loyal, because those golden flakes, I generally think the reason of that is because he's been touched by this god, or is maybe half dedicated. So he is kind of like the equivalent of Violet, half silver hair, but for him, because it's a different god, is just golden flakes. And it's something that reminds me is when they went to Herodes, when they were talking about Violet's eyes, and they were saying, oh, they are so strange. They are not blue, they are not green, they are not golden. And golden eyes in a human is just, we'll say it's not possible. We're seeing golden eyes in a dragon, but he said like it's just another color. So I wonder if maybe the people, they are totally dedicated to Loyal. They maybe have golden eyes.
Yeah. And it's the gold flecks means that's like a partial dedication or
Yes.
something. Yeah, I really, really like it. I do definitely think there's a link, because I think that Talia is from Loisum. So I think it's possibly a sign of being from Loisum. Like most people have gold flecked onyx eyes or golden eyes. I do have a theory, though, that Xaden effectively dedicates himself to Loyal in this very chapter. We'll get to it, but I think we might be witnessing some kind of dedication.
I think maybe I know where you're going, because there's some words that are just suspicious, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, the word irrevocably is really key. The mention of the souls here is not by accident. Magic is not taking Xaden's soul. That is clear.
Yes.
He's still in there. And the fact that they use the word irrevocably means it cannot be taken back, which feels like it's the evidence we've been needing that Xaden's soul is not up for grabs. It belongs to Violet.
Reading this chapter, there's a part there I was wondering about it, if I were going to say that maybe because he's the one who says something like this, maybe it can be taken as maybe a contract or something. That
or a
just,
dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah. The irony that Violet could be giving him this love and he could be giving her the love and changing the soul irrevocably, and that inadvertently being the cure, not the cure, but the prevention. Wouldn't that be ironic that she's searching the continent and wider for the cure when really she's giving it to him all along?
Yeah. I remember that I was thinking something similar as well, but with Andarna, when they're looking for the Iris, because they can have the cure for the venom, and when we find out that they can break bonds, I was thinking, oh, maybe Andarna can break the bond there's between Satan and the ground, so he doesn't need to grab it and the magic from the ground. So it's just like cutting the link between the rider and the swords. Like we saw, maybe we turn in Sagel, there's a bond, a link. But
do you think there's a conduit then? Do you think on his hill in Erasia, which is his mind's like the version of Violet's archives, the place he feels the safest and most at home. Do you think there's a channel for magic from the ground, or do you think it just it just beefs up Sigale's channel?
It seems that he needs to think about it. There's not something that...
He feels it, yeah.
Yes, he just decides to reach for that. So instead to maybe open the doors or the walls from narration where he is, he just needs to like look into the ground, and then he see or he feel the power, and then he just reaching.
Yeah, it makes sense because you do need to be taught how to channel.
Yes.
And you need to be taught how to shield, etc. So yeah, it feels like that would be the case. I think that plays into our thinking that magic totally goes by the end of it, and that's actually like cutting off the magic, and it'll be the Irids that do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, plays into that. Right, shall we get into the chapter?
Okay, let's go to start with the steamy session.
Can we talk about the leather pants? The wet leather pants. Oh my God, I could not be doing with that.
I know. It's just, obviously, when you think about the uniform and how they look so cool with everything. But it's not practical for this kind of stuff.
Especially when it's raining. Oh my God.
Sticky, like, and you're trying to just...
Squeaky. Just not ideal.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not like using the shadows to helping himself.
Yeah.
Like, just to peel it up or...
I don't know. I feel like he needs some talcum powder or something. To like keep...
I think that didn't work. I think we saw something like that in France.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to make a meme about it.
I knew that's what you would say as soon as you said that. It happened in the shower scene as well.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like that wet leather slapping on the floor. It just feels a bit of a turn off. Like, I'm all for the leather, but no. So, they're on the chair. Xaden has like put her knees up onto the armchair and he's worshipping her. I actually saw a reel. Apparently there was a lot of confusion about this position. So somebody, I wish I could have found it. I did have a quick search for it earlier, but I couldn't find it anywhere. If anybody knows, like tag them. They'd like acted it out. Because there was so much confusion, nobody could get their heads around it. So she was like, it's really simple, and she just acted
doing
out.
it.
Yeah.
That's like really good, because I remember the very first time when I was reading this, I was like, wait, how is this? Because my first thought, she was sit in the chair. He put the knees like up. So it was just like, is she the one who's going to go into again? So and then when he was sitting, like doing it.
He's sitting. He puts her knees on, and then he like goes, slides down. Yeah, thank God he took his leather off, otherwise he'd get stuck.
Coming.
And he needs complete control, so that wouldn't help. But it would, I don't know. And also, it's a good job Theophany's outside, isn't it? Causing a bit of a storm.
Yes. Because after all of that, it will be too obvious. Satan is back.
Yeah. Also, on the sound thing. So, there's a storm, thunder. It doesn't really... Although Riddick's probably like sat in his room, isn't he? Thinking, I know what's going on. She said, thank God there's a sound shield in this room. My theory, and I think we talked a bit about this on the live episode as well, is that Bodhi does have a second signet. And Bodhi's second signet is to do with hearing beyond wards. Because one of our listeners, who gets a shout out almost every week because she sends theories and they're amazing, Kelly, had spotted that Bodhi could hear Violet beyond a shield when they were like a shielding rune, when they were talking about their plans for the quest and not returning between islands. And then they have this conversation and she asks Bodhi, what's your second signet? And he says, I don't have one, just like Xaden. Well, we know Xaden has one. We think he knows Xaden has one. We think he's keeping that secret, which is probably the only secret he's been able to keep because he is a bit of a gossip. But it just feels a bit foreshadowy that he does have a signet. And the fact that it was hinted at in that scene that he could hear through the sound shield.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my guess for his second signet. And we have, I guess, more than suspicions now. We've had suspicions since the first book, haven't we? That Bodhi is carrying a secret flame for Violet.
Yes.
And imagine if he can hear through wards. His room is literally just down the hall.
To hear
He
all
can
the screens.
hear all of it. And this would be fueling his like animosity towards Xaden.
Because he's not good enough.
We get wrath in this group of chapters, and it is specifically described as the wrath emanating from Bodhi.
Mm-hmm.
Could this have been part of the fuel of that?
Yeah. It's curious because I remember when we were doing the deep dive for Fourth Wing, I think it's just in the scene where we were talking before, when Gary goes into the very first time.
Yeah.
He just listen. He's having a conversation with Xaden, but Xaden is in his room with Violet, and the room's supposed to have like a sound shield as well.
But that's Garrick.
Yes, but again, we are assuming there's a sound shield and Xaden's room, and he's still having a conversation.
Maybe he's just really not good at that rune.
Or maybe they have rooms to hear something as a security
I think
thing.
it's Bodhi's secret signet. Don't take that from me.
Okay, so we were talking about some hints or stuff that Satan was saying here. And one of them is when he says to Violet, "My power, my body, my soul is all yours." So, like we were saying before, it doesn't mean that he's actually doing it just because he's saying it. Then maybe because the gods take him literally, then his soul now belongs to Violet.
Yeah. I think it's always belonged to Violet because they're soulmates. I think there's a deeper, I don't think it's like a fated, well, I do. I think soulmates is that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will be described as soulmates as well because of the deep connection between the soul and the kind of...
They belong to each other.
It feels like a protection, doesn't it? It feels like the soul is being protected. This is 100% not just pillow talk. I genuinely believe this could be Xaden committing that into the divine, that he is, as he's dedicating himself to Violet. I think Loyal does demand a lifetime of dedication. I think dedicating yourself to the person you love is by proxy dedicating yourself to Loyal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's saying it out loud. And in this moment, it's like locked in. And that's why we see in the mushroom cloud of shadow doom, he is still there. And he's killing the venom. He's killing the wyvern. He's stroking Violet on the face. He's not gone.
Yeah.
His soul, it's hers now.
I can believe that maybe because they're like mates, then they belong to each other, and there's no gods or any entity they can take that apart because that's how it is. I don't believe that maybe the piece of soul that Satan has is maybe in the ring that she has at the end of the book.
No,
I don't think it's something physical. I think it's just something more like a deeply bond.
Yeah.
That not even dragons can see or understand.
Yeah, I don't think it's a physical soul encapsulated. I think it's a committing a soul to somebody else, soulmate.
Yeah.
Violet says exactly the same thing. She says, "My body, my soul, my power, my body, my soul is right here," and she's giving hers in return. And I think that's kind of sealing the fate. And we know that Rebecca Yarros sneaks stuff into the sexy scenes, like in the hopes that we're distracted. And this does feel like a really big one. Also feels like the Onyx Storm answer to "My house, my chair, my woman," my power, my body, my soul.
Yeah.
That same thing.
Yeah, true. So obviously all these chapters about the sex part between Violet and Xaden. So we have a lot of details here. They finish Violet a couple of times. And something interesting here. after Seda finished as well, he was maybe panicking because he was thinking, "Oh shit!"
It's like, I can't. Oh no, he thought he'd.
He was channeling by mistake.
Yeah.
It was because he lost it, so he was like looking for marks, or then maybe he heard Violet or something. But no, nothing happened. Everything good. So
All the furniture is fine for
and
once.
survive. Obviously,
Yeah.
the quality in narration is better than the one in Nova.
No, because they've broken the table in Erasure before, I think, as well. Or was that in
I think it was in
Basgaia as well?
Basgaia. Yeah.
Oh, Basgaias just get shitty
It's
furniture.
150 years.
Yeah, maybe it's just old. Well, the debate is whether it's like shitty or if it's
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, but I was wondering what would happen if Satan just carry on for a long time without channeling. Do you think that maybe it will come the time that maybe after a couple of years like that, he will just not feeling the need? Like, like a drug. The drug, maybe after you pass a certain stage, you can see that you're clear. And you maybe sometimes you still feeling a little bit that you feel the need, but you have control. So you don't have to sleep.
I have to go to like Venin Anonymous meetings. I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you where I think we might find the answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith's journals.
Oh, yeah.
I think she channeled and remained in control. I also think she was madly in love with Asher.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like they had a bit of a fight, Violet and Xaden have fights all the time.
Yeah.
But I think she was soulmated to Asher. And that could have had a bearing on it as well. Because she did say the love of my life was a scribe.
Yeah. No, I definitely think as well that she was really in love with him. And even Violet says as well that after her father died, she was completely apart. So we don't know exactly what she was doing. If obviously it was the grief or more complicated stuff, like maybe she was hiding the vein inside, he was helping because he was doing some research, that maybe that's how she was controlling that vein inside. Without him, it was just getting worse.
Yeah, maybe the delayed activation rune on his research, which we suspect the delayed activation rune. I'm stealing your theory, but perhaps the cure is in there.
Yeah. I mean, we still haven't seen the research about feather tails, so I think that's going to be one of the keys or the cure for this.
Yeah, and the first 6.
Yeah.
Do you want to play a game?
You want to play a game?
Yeah. It's called Signet Shenanigans.
Okay.
Right, so we know that, like, Violet and Xaden can't keep their signets under control in the bedroom. Which signets would be the most embarrassing to lose control of when things get steamy in the bedroom?
I think water signet, something like that. They just losing control and then you just float in the
It's like
the
walk
bed.
out of the door.
Yeah.
I think there's a few. I think Shield would be quite bad. I feel like every time you get excited, you just bounce off each other.
What about Garrick? Imagine he coming losing control and then 20 miles away naked.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, Imogen. Imagine if she is on top and then she turned into a stone.
She could turn the
Crush
turn the guy to
everything.
stone.
Gosh.
Maybe that's why Imogen and Garrick
They're not compatible.
they know that they will lose control with each other, and it's just so dangerous. Because maybe like Xaden's never lost control with anybody else.
Yeah.
Maybe Garrick's terrified that he's going to be turned to stone, or they're going to end up on the other side of Navarre with no clothes on.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Or she might even wipe his memory by accident, and he'd be like, "What the fuck? Why am I here?" I don't know if this is a real signet, but invisibility. Be like, wait, where did it go? Invisibility would be a really good one.
Yeah.
Truth telling, I don't know.
It's not that big.
It's not that cold.
To say.
Or like, do you love me? I mean, I like you. Your brother's pretty hot. Can you imagine?
Ouch.
There's so many. This reminds me of the time that we played that game when they were like shoveling snow outside in the courtyard.
Sooner
Like,
would be more useful.
the game was called There's a Signet for that. Any more?
What about Kaori? Kaori can put, I don't know, by mistake made like an orgy or something with all naked people or something around himself, like multiple.
Quinn could do that as well. Be loads of her. Wish she can't do that anymore. Sorry.
Ouch.
Too soon. I cry every time when she dies. That was a really bad thing for me to say.
She's still alive and they die.
She's still alive, yeah. But she, yeah.
Melgrain. I see that.
You can see the outcome.
I see that you're not going to reach climax.
So let's just call it a day.
Yeah.
There's no point. So if anyone's got any better ideas than us, then let us know.
Yeah, put it in the comments.
Yeah,
We want to
put them
see.
in the comments. We really want to see.
And with this, we ended chapter 49.
Memoirs of Luzbel. She loved him. She lost him. And he came back. But wasn't completely him. She feared him. She fought him. But she fell for him. Memoirs of Luzbel. Now available on Amazon.
Chapter 50.
Epigraph.
Your Majesty, Tyrandor hereby officially declines your request for a provincial commitment of troops for our current conflict. Having resigned my professorship at Basgaioth War College, I am now in rightful command of all Tyrish citizens in the military service. Official correspondence of His Grace Lieutenant Xaden Ryerson, 16th Duke of Tyrandor, to His Majesty King Tauri the Wise. Do you think King Tauri gave himself that name? I do.
The wise.
Yeah, he's not very wise.
I definitely think they chose the names. So
What would you
like,
be?
What kind of king? I would be something like the brave or
The brave.
yeah,
I would be the chaotic.
chaotic. Queen chaotic. I like it.
Queen Shan. Queen Shan, the chaotic.
Yeah.
Right, so Xaden is formally rejecting the king's request for a provincial commitment. And this is like this is continent defining, like a shift in politics. Xaden is now essentially ranked the same as Melgren.
Mm-hmm.
He's in command of all Tyrish citizens. I thought this was a bit odd because he specifically says Tyrish citizens, but I thought it must mean also like people stationed, because what about the Eurasian riot? Like previously he was saying that he was in command, or Mira worked for him. So it was just the Eurasian riot before. Does Mira now, because she's not a Tyrish citizen, or has he given her Tyrish citizenship? Like he's giving Poromish people citizenship?
I mean, he can do whatever, because I think that's what he did with Maren's brother. He gave it the citizens so they can stay there. So I'm guessing that if Mira, she just want to stay there.
She wants a
with
Tyrish
Russia.
passport.
Yeah. So she can fly free.
And Oric, the same.
Mm-hmm.
Oric seems to be, well, he definitely 100% is in allegiance with Tyrandor.
Yeah.
But this really sets the stage for an escalating conflict between Navarre and Tyrandor. We will see later Holden and stationing some troops along the border. I think book 4 I think there's going to be a civil war.
This is an official communication for King Tauri that he lost Tyrandor.
Yeah.
That now is under Satan's command.
Yeah, that's major. And this comes back to the dinner at Hedotus again, where Kat says these two have the power to split the continent, divide the continent. That's exactly what's happening.
True.
Do you think the other provinces are doing the same? I tend to think they're not.
I think they are maybe just paying attention to see how Tyrandor is going to reply, and then how the strength between Tyrandor and Chaldear is going to, I don't know, end. Maybe they're going to start taking sides. I don't think all of them are going to be with Tauri.
Do you think the squad will split up? Violet will fly for Tyrandor.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rhee will too, because her parents are now in Tyrandor. She's Moranian. Then Sawyer is from Lucerys.
From Lucerys, yes.
Cam is from Chaldear, but he will fly for Erasure.
Mm-hmm.
The question is whether Sawyer will. Riddick. Don't know where Riddick's from.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they will split.
I don't think they will either. But I do think that we're heading for civil war. Well, we're in it, aren't we? Because the things that you do, you cut off supply routes, you take control of armies. That's exactly what's happening in Tyrandor.
Yes. It will be interesting to see if in Book 4 it's going to be more focused on, like you said, civil war, while the Venom, maybe they're still in the shadows, or they're pulling the strings, and there's maybe people in the leadership. They're still like making sure that all goes to shit.
Yeah. Will Xaden then become the king of Tyrandor?
That's interesting, because since that dream, when Meryn was telling to Catriona that she will be the queen of Tyrandor, that he will choose you, we still don't know why, because that happened was in Cliffsbane. That was before the Venom destroyed the whole city. So this is talking about the past, but she's referring to something that we start to see that's kind of like the future. So
we don't know that. She could just be saying best friend. Like,
yeah, but there was no crown. There's no any clues to think that Tyrandor it will turn into a kingdom.
Yeah.
So why?
And why
she's
didn't
saying
she
that?
just say, "You're my best friend. We need to get out. You need to go out of here." Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't need to say,
Say Queen of Tyrandor.
"He will choose you," she said.
Yes. But even when Violet in this chapter is going to ask her, or she is telling to Xaden about this, they don't think that's weird about
I know.
she
Yeah.
will be queen of Tyrandor.
I do think that Marin's gift is like seeing people's like destiny, but not in the same way that Cam sees. I don't think it's a precog thing. I think it's a like, what is their destiny thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she was so protective of Violet, even against Kat on the cliffs of Draelor when they were going up for the first time in Iron Flame to Erasure. She instantly took to Violet. She was kind of calling Kat out in front of everybody, being like, come on, I think she even said she's like our only hope, or she's our hope. I think Maren, a few times it feels like there's a destiny thing. So that for me makes me think that Xaden is never going to be king of Tyrandor.
But definitely not now as Venom.
Why not? He's a Duke of Tyrandor. He would be king if it was a separate thing.
Yes, but once they start to spread the news that he's a Venom, he will get all the rights and all the stuff as a Duke. It will be completely eliminated.
Yeah.
They won't allow the Venom to be in control.
Yeah, but will they even? I think they'll be after Violet next year, next book. I think Navarre and Tyrandor will have, by the end of this book, between 4 and 3, 3 and 4, there will be a clean, like, that will tip them over. They will want Violet dead. They've not even got General Sorengale there anymore. So Lilith is not there to fight Violet's corner. Atos is in charge, Melgren's in charge, Towery's in charge. They all will not, they'll all hate Xaden, regardless of whether he was Venom or not. They now hate him. He's like, sent this missive. It's an official declaration of independence, essentially, isn't it?
Yes.
So Tyrandor is going to have to protect Violet because Navarre want Violet dead. Andana says, I won't let them burn you because it's the quickest way to kill Xaden. They still believe that, whether the bond is there or not, that's what they believe. So I've got a feeling book 4 will be around Navarre trying to get at Violet, Venin trying to get at Violet, everyone's trying to get Violet. Tyrandor is going to be protecting Violet, and I think that's possibly going to be a massive theme in book 4. And I guess she's not going to go quietly. She's not going to sit hidden, is she?
No, I think she's going to be desperately looking for Xaden. Well, maybe she need to be physically, because until they find somebody to carry on with Tyrandor, because it's more likely the body is not going to be there as next in line. So more pressure for Violet as a Duchess. And until she starts to trying to remember, trying to figure out all the stuff that happened, those 12 hours they are missing, she's going to be maybe just in Tyrandor hiding or just trying to find clues.
I'm not 100% convinced she's going to be Duchess. Like, somebody's got to convince me of this. I know that they got married. I think they got married so that Tyrandor would protect her, not so that she would become Duchess. Like, she just wouldn't. I don't know, unless that's the rules in this fantasy realm, you would not become... The king would choose another one. It doesn't go to the wife. It never does. It doesn't go to the husband. If you're the queen, so you've got the Duchess of, let's take the British system, which I know is real life and not fantasy, but the British system. The Duke of Devonshire died. The duchy went to his son, not his wife, not the Duchess. She then became the Dowager Duchess. Those who watched Downton Abbey know the same. Maggie Smith played the character of the Dowager Duchess because the Duke died, the duchy went to her son. And then she was just the mother of the Duke. That's the Dowager Duchess. That's what happens. But that was also something set in Britain. So obviously I'm like clouded maybe or by the way that it is in the UK. But somebody really has to convince me that she's going to be Duchess. I think it would go to Llewellyn.
I think the main reason to say that get married with Violet is precisely to make sure that she get the power that he has as a Duke of Tyrandor.
I don't think so. He always said, I will use Tyrandor to protect you, not the other way around.
That's what I mean. If she is the Duchess and she is maybe now the one in command, she has all Tyrandor for her to protect her, to do everything. Maybe it's something temporary until the assembly start to decide who is gonna be the one in charge.
She's not been trained to be a Duchess. She doesn't know what she's doing.
Doesn't matter. Sometimes
it does matter.
That happens. Like Queen Elizabeth, that she's not supposed to be a queen, and she was.
The reason she wasn't meant to be queen was because her dad wasn't meant to be king. Her dad became king long before she became queen. She was then raised to be queen. He wasn't, but he was still like. It was always it's like Harry. There was always a chance that one doesn't make it or one abdicates, and then the other one like. I'm getting passionate about this because I just don't. If that is the case, I will be really confused because that just does not happen. And I know that this is fantasy, so it could be different, but it's not the way it works. I feel like Llewellyn would protect the wife of Xaden.
Yeah.
So I think she doesn't have to be Duchess for Tyrandor to want to protect her, basically.
Yeah,
I get it. It makes total sense, and especially where it's just like you saw what happened. This is the only way. Like you saw what happened. Bodhi turned. this is the only way for us to keep control of Tyrrendor. But I just don't think he's like that. And also, maybe Navarre. We see that Navarre is way more forward thinking, and Tyrrendor is way more forward thinking than Britain in terms of like who gets the throne. I mean, they've literally only just changed the rules in the UK that if you have a girl first, they will become queen. Previously, it was like, well, forget about it. It doesn't matter.
Has to be a male.
Yeah. In fact, Princess Anne is older than King Charles, isn't she?
Yeah.
The rules didn't change for her. They changed before William and Kate had George. It's just, somebody's going to have to convince me. And it'll be Rebecca Yarros when it actually happens. And I'll be like, oh, okay,
yeah,
it's different then.
That's just a little detail, because if you start to think about the stuff that happen in this world with reality, the dragon wouldn't be able to fly in this world. They're way too big.
Come on, don't give me that. Like, that's totally different. That's totally different to like. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's like use your imagination.
Then use your imagination for the Duchess, Hannah, the power, because that's how it works in this world.
Yeah, it might do, but then I'll be like, well, I hope she's going to get some help. She's not been...
Well, she still had Llewellyn on the side. Felix is still there for training.
Llewellyn was a bit mean to her.
Is it? I mean, he was just being like, trying to maybe save a lot of pain, because maybe he went through all of that being with somebody that you know that is not going to be there for you.
He was like, you don't really matter. Only Tyrrendor. First Tyrrendor, then Xaden.
Yeah, it doesn't speak that somebody that's a prince will tell to the partner that he was raised, or his destiny is to go for the city, in this case for Tyrrendor.
Yeah.
That should be his priority.
I can't be convinced. Until book 4 comes out and she is the Duchess of Tyrrendor, I can't be convinced. The only person that'll convince me is Rebecca Yarros.
Okay, we have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Okay, after all of that, we're going to start the chapter.
Sorry, I got carried away.
So, the chapter starts with a nightmare. And again, it's the same nightmare with the venom. This time, Violet starts to see like really weird things. Like maybe she now has a tattoo in the arm as well. She sees the venom. The venom has the sword of Tyrrendor. And we start to see as well that maybe it's not Violet, the one that is in this dream, or should be in this dream. So she awakes, and then she sees that Xaden is having a nightmare as well. So they manage to be awake, both of them. She just, come on, Xaden, wake up, wake up. They start to talk about the nightmares. So Violet, the first one to start with the nightmare, and start to explain, oh, this is happening, it's happened a couple of times, and Xaden is just freaking out, because when she goes to the park, but this time I saw my arm, and I was like wearing a relic, exactly like yours, and then, yeah, because that was mine. Yeah, no, that was the same relic. No, that was my arm, that was my dream. You wore my dream. Yes. So the thing that caught my attention about this nightmare is Berwin is asking to say that you need to bring me what I want, or I'll kill her. So whatever he wants, he's not talking about Violet, because he's threatening Xaden with killing Violet if he doesn't give it what he wants.
Yeah, because he says, I will not allow her to win such a prize. I think he's talking about Theophany there.
Yes. So that is something that I'm not completely sure what he means, because he's holding the sword of Tyrrendor. I don't know if about this stage Xaden still had the sword and physically, because maybe in the nightmare
it's in the box of nothingness.
Well, it's just a dagger. It's
same thing. I think it's the same. The blade of Tyrrendor and the sword of Tyrrendor, I think they're the same thing. I could be wrong. But I've read back to try and work it out, and I think they're the same thing.
So Satan has something that Berwin wants, but Berwin is holding the sword of Thirendor. And for me, is why? It's because maybe he has the right of holding this sword. Because I was, in my knowledge, only the people who are maybe kind of like not royal, but part of like maybe
The
royal
line,
family on
yeah.
the line. They are the only ones they can
Granddad
hold.
Ryerson,
Yeah.
Zayden's granddad. So it makes sense for him to be Zayden's granddad because he's holding the sword. Also because of the like tanned arm. Also like several things. The fact that that whole Zayden's granddad thing is shrouded in mystery. Could mean why Sigel was so angry. But the one thing that keeps me coming away from that is that there is no reaction between Sigel and Berwin at the end of the book. And you would think that had Sigel been bonded to this man, she would have felt more. She would have been like in more of a rage, although she was trapped. Just to play devil's advocate, it could mean bring what I want, like bringing Violet, because Xaden specifically says he wants you. When he's explaining this and they're awake, he does specifically say he wants me to take you to him. So you got to remember that Berwin and Theophany are fighting with each other for Violet. They both want Violet. Theophany's always like, don't go to him. He will like ruin it. I'm the only one you need. So if you substitute bring what I want for Violet, it still makes sense. You say, you will bring me Violet or she dies. I will not allow Theophany to win such a prize. So he's saying, you bring her to me or I'll kill her anyway, because the alternative is Theophany gets her and I will not allow Theophany to win. The fact that Xaden wakes up shortly in this chapter and they start to talk about what it is, Xaden specifically tells Violet, he wants me to bring you. He wants you. So I don't know then why in the next dream he said, you lost what I want. So I think you're onto something in that there's something else that he wants.
Yeah.
Because then the only thing that disappears between the last dream and this dream is Andana. So there's a question that he might want Andana as well.
Yes.
And Theophany definitely does, because she says, you've lost the Irid.
Something that I started to think about this, we had Theophany and Berwin, but I think one of each is betting for different rider. So I think maybe Theophany is because she's working directly for Daramor or whoever is in charge of the banning, and that one was Violet, because Violet is pure power. She's the lightning wielder. But I think Berwin, he is betting for Satan. So maybe he's thinking that Satan's power is more important than Violet, because we have lightning and we have dark. So I think Berwin maybe is thinking Satan or the Shadow Wielder is the match for the lightning wielder, and we need him, not her. So I think that I see that, yeah, they're kind of like working together in some points, but they had different objectives. And it's very clear that from the beginning, Berwin is chasing Satan, even before he channeled.
Yeah, I feel like Berwin and Theophany are like Venin siblings, though. I think they both report to General Daramor.
Yeah. Yeah, something that she says as well when she was moving really fast. She said that only a few can do that, and they're like really old.
Yeah, and only a few are older.
And Berwin can do that. We thought that maybe he was like a distance wielder.
No, she doesn't say that. She says only a few of us can do it, and only a few are older. They're not necessarily the same thing. She doesn't say that only old people can do that. She's saying fewer can do that.
Yeah.
And fewer are older. She's just saying she's really old. She's not saying that Berwin's really old.
No, but Berwin he was disappearing when he was in prison because
but
he was saying that I think it was Leon. He was saying he was there and then he just disappeared. Or
but
moved to the
that's
other
what I'm
side.
trying to say. I'm trying to say that when she says that, she's not saying only old Venom can do that disappearing thing. She's saying
only a few can do it.
Only a few can do it, and fewer are older than her.
Yeah.
What I liked about this dream, and I thought it was really subtle, was there's a few references to Zanal. So the first one, Berwin steps out of nothingness. And the word nothingness is like, I feel like it's a made-up word. I don't know if it's a real word. But Xaden calls his box of nothingness that. Then Berwin has the sword, which I could be totally wrong about this, and I'm really happy to be corrected. Because I've been umming and ahhing about whether the blade of erasure and the sword of erasure are the same thing, whether one's a dagger, one's a sword. But I don't know. I just feel like they should be the same.
I felt they're like two completely different things.
I did as well, but then blade of... It would be weird that there was two different things.
No, I think it was more like a pack or something that goes together. You had the sword and you had the little...
Like a knife and a fork.
Yeah, coming all together.
Durandor's cutlery.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but I just had a feeling they're the same thing. Anyway, the word nothingness jumped out as being Zanal. And then later, Xaden says, I'll have to accept the fate that Zanal dealt me. One... Zanal, we know that he's the god of luck, but I didn't know he was one of the... he's the equivalent of the fates. He's dealing out people's life story or life, I don't know, purpose. And the fate that Zanal gave me, the box of nothingness that Zanal gave me, it all seems to be linked. And there's a few references in this dream, which I thought were interesting.
Yeah.
The other really curious thing about this dream is that Violet thinks she hears Andana scream. Why would Andana scream? She doesn't in the end, does she? She's not there.
Actually, we don't know because all of this is happening from different point of views. So Xaden is with Berwin by the end of this book he goes to see him and Panchek is dead. And Darna is with Violet when Violet's fighting Theophany. But we don't know if maybe from Xaden's point of view Andarna was going to see Violet. Maybe she saw the turn was on the floor with the net that Theophany was getting closer, and then maybe she was passing Xaden and screaming or something. Yeah,
but then Violet thinks she can't get to her. Yeah, I don't know why Andana screamed. But it probably is because Ten and Sigale have been trapped, isn't it?
Yes, and they're about to die. So maybe Andana was coming to help, and then he see all this scenario, and she just freaking out. But Violet, she doesn't hear anything. The first sound that Violet has about Andarna is when Theophany crashed with a wall, invisible wall, and then it's Andarna.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting question, like why she was screaming and why Xaden can't hear that.
Yeah.
So as we were saying, Xaden and Violet started talking about this, then realized it was Xaden's nightmare all this time. And he said that he's been having this nightmare since Reason. So we're talking about fourth wing. And he have at least like once every week. This is before Berwin attack Xaden and Basgayat and make him to channel. So this thing that he is in Xaden's dreams is not a Venom connection or anything like that. It's actually because Berwin can go into the dreams. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We thought like it was just a suspicion. We were like, Berwin, we think Berwin is the dream watcher. He's got to be, hasn't he? Has to be. There's no other way.
Yeah. I was thinking that maybe it was like a Venom connection between Sage and Initiate. But here, Satan is saying, I've been having this nightmare since reason.
Yeah.
And that was way before all of that,
Yeah.
before he channeled the first time.
Exactly. And if it was a Venom thing, and if a Venom could do it before with a future initiate, Theophany would be doing it to Violet, and she's not. So it's definitely a Bowen thing.
Yes, definitely.
I also think that links him nicely with Takaris, because Takaris sees what people truly desire, what they dream of, it's all linked, isn't it? It's the same thing.
Yeah, Terwin. We say him before and we say it again.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, what if it's Zayden's granddad? And you're like, hang on, calm down. Is it 3 different people? But we know that Venom can successfully disguise themselves. Like wearing camo and mud on his face. 100% think that this is conclusive evidence that Bowen is the only person that can teach Violet.
Yes.
How to use her signet.
While they were talking about it, Satan is the first one to say, that might be your second signet. That is because you're a dream walker. And Violet can't even believe it. What? What is that? And you can go into people's dream. That makes sense because that second signet is from Andarna. And Andarna, because she's an Iri, and they're like a race that's peaceful, that kind of signet is not for hurt or not like a weapon. It makes sense that you have it. And for me, it's like, no, it doesn't make sense at all.
That is not how signets are supposed to work.
Yes, and even more interesting, Violet herself says that doesn't make sense because it's the core, is not how it's supposed to be. It's the chemical reaction between Dragon Rider and what that rider really needs. And then they come with this, maybe it's because when Andarna was sleeping, you want to know what she was dreaming or what she was dreaming, the dreamless sleep.
Yeah.
So it's just...
it feels a bit weak, doesn't it? I was so surprised at this. In fact, not even surprised. I was like, what? I was confused. And yes, you can trace it back. You can. It's in Iron Flame. Signets aren't supposed to work like that. Does Xaden know a bit more? Also, the fact that Xaden knows about a signet that Violet doesn't, Violet the scribe, you'd think she would know all the signets that there's ever been, but Xaden knows a lot because he talks about like there hasn't been a distance wielder for centuries. He's like saying that even though he knows that Garrick is. This is another one, obviously, that is just very, very rare. And possibly there has only ever been one. The reason Xaden knows about it is because that's what Bowen is.
Yeah, true. But for me, the only thing that I'm taking from this is that we don't know the truth about how actually signets works. So we've been told that it's the rider's code and all that kind of stuff, but... for me, this is telling me that no, there's something else, something deeper that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and the Irids, they say that it's gifting.
The dragon is giving the signet, like if they can choose what to give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Andana says, I had no choice in it any more than Tern had. I didn't have a choice in it any more than Tern had a choice to gift lightning wielding. And she can say that, basically, she's like, I'm only going to admit it if you admit it. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not doing that. It's kind of like Bodhi.
With the second signet.
Bodhi saying...
Same as Xaden.
Yeah, I don't have one, just like Xaden.
Yeah.
It's, I'll tell you mine if you admit that you know he has one. And that could be exactly the attitude that Andana's got with Tern, about the lightning wielding. I think there is something about the dragons being able to choose.
Yeah, I think there's some more secrets in the dragon kind, and they're just keeping it all by themselves so far.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think this is the gift that Leothan was talking about, though.
Yeah.
And I think we get a bit more of that in a second, in the next chapter.
Yeah.
She thinks, initially, she kind of is like, this can't be true. This can't be true. I've had the dream on nights where you've been like where you've been hours away. This, for me, doesn't mean that it's not dream walking. This is kind of foreshadowing that it doesn't matter how far away he is, she will be able to enter his dreams. And I genuinely believe, like, without the connection now, this has got to be the main way that they will communicate. I think they're going to have dream sex in book 4. I do. I think they're going to be in the dream. And that's the only way that they can do it. So Rebecca Yarros will still be able to write those scenes. There will still be a relationship, but it will all happen in Xaden and Violet's dreams.
Yeah, I actually I can see it. The Violet just going there, trying to find it maybe in a field or in the mountains, on a ration on the roof or something, and then say that like, you shouldn't be here, you should go, and you should leave me alone or whatever. And then, no, I will never. And then you're...
Yeah, it all happens.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, you haven't read it yet, but the Crescent City series, there's a really cool bit where there's communication in dreams, and it's really cool. If it's anything like that, it would be really good. That's not really a spoiler, but if you haven't read Crescent City, I think you should read it. And not everybody loves it, but I really, really liked it. I haven't read the whole of Throne of Glass, but I really, really liked Crescent City more probably than ACOTAR. I'm probably weird. Anyway, I think she'll be able to find him in the dreams, and that's how they communicate. I don't think he's lost. I don't think he needs finding. I think they'll need to communicate, and that is foolproof. Well, it's not foolproof because Berwyn could also be in the dreams. It's going to have to be really careful.
Definitely, I think exactly the same, because here is confirmation that even when Violet doesn't know where Xaden was in the past, she managed to go to his dreams. So it's just she needs to desire that and it will happen. And again, because Berwyn is the one who can go maybe into dreams and they can see whatever is happening, maybe that's one of the reasons that she asked to Imogen to what happened in the last 12 hours, so nobody can get that information, not even when she's sleeping.
Yeah, I do think that part of that, why she had a memory wiped, was to protect from Berwyn. Has she been in anybody else's dreams? Apart from Maren, obviously. The only one that jumped out at me was, but this happened just after threshing, so it can't be dream walking. But there was the one where she was talking to her dad. And isn't there one with Dane?
Yes, but this was when Andarna, she's still a Feathertail.
And I think it was when they came in to kill her, wasn't it?
Yes, but that was when she was dreaming that she was in the Arcas with her father, and Asha was telling her to Violet, remember who is telling the story.
Yeah.
That was the sentence that we're just like analyzing and just saying as well.
Yeah.
Suspicious.
So I don't know. I don't think she's been in anyone else's dreams. But Andana says she's mostly drawn to him, which is because, like, and if you go back to the, like, what she's going to need to communicate with him. So it could have manifested just because of that, if that is indeed how they manifest. He talks about this being the most dangerous thing because she could go into Melgren's dream, and what would Melgren dream about?
No idea. War. That's the only thing that guy likes and do.
Yeah. But this is the thing. In my humble opinion, going into dreams is not dangerous. Going into dreams and manipulating them or planting dreams in people's heads, that's what's dangerous. So, God, if anyone went into my dreams, they are really weird. And sometimes they're really mundane. Like, I dream about, I've got a flight in the morning. I dream that I missed my flight. And that's like your body making sure you don't miss your flight, isn't it? It's your brain being like, going through all the options that could happen. But it doesn't actually happen. Like,
I think there's been like a real experiments when they put like fake memories to people, and they do it in this way, maybe in the subconscious when people are sleeping, maybe they're like talking or putting some image or sounds, and that's how they put a fake memory to people. So Violet can do exactly the same if she's able to manipulate all the dreams at her will. Then she can just plan fake memories or maybe trigger stuff to get information from people as well.
Yeah, she could just interrogate someone in their dream.
Yeah, just make like with Melgrin, so she can just transform herself in King Tauri and they start to ask her stuff. And they is having a conversation with King Tauri in the dream and they just tell everything.
Yeah. It is dangerous. So, like entering dreams alone is, in my opinion, not a big deal. I originally thought, right, Rebecca Yarros said we've only seen about 10% of this signet.
Yes.
I originally thought that she was going to be a mind walker and that there's quite a lot of, like, when we shared that reel, there was quite a lot of, like, that was quite popular and a lot of people said they thought the same thing. I'm not sure now if I'm going to go down it will still be dreams, but she can manipulate them. She can make people do what she wants them to do. Because we know that Bowen thinks he can. Bowen says, I've got ways of making you do what I want you to do. It would be terrifying if she could do this at will, like any time. So regardless of when someone was awake or asleep. I'm erring towards the fact that now that it might stay in dreams, but I'm still open-minded about the Mindwalker thing.
I think this signet is just really dangerous. It's because you can do it only when the person had the shields down. And then when obviously the person had the shields down, that you have completely access. So you have no way to shield against that unless you never sleep.
Yeah. How long is it going to take her to actually practice it and hone it, though? Because she can be quite lazy, can't she, with that type of thing?
Yeah, and how she's going to do it, because so far it looks like random. It's not like she can pick somebody, because while she was Mary's she was in the same room.
She was next
so
to
I don't
her.
know if had the influence.
She was stressed, emotional. So it seems to happen like...
Well, the signet for her is always about like feelings.
A strong feeling, and then it happens. She can't control it, Dream walking is not a brand new concept in either fantasy or in Greek mythology. It's been a thing, isn't it, for a while? So Morpheus. Is Morpheus the Sandman?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's the TV series, The Sandman, and also the Greek myth, where he can weave. He's like a dream weaver, isn't he? So he can shape and send the dreams to people and kind of manipulate actions within dreams. I think that's what this is. I think we can probably learn a little bit from Morpheus.
Yeah.
That myth.
And I think exactly that is one of the reasons this signet is so dangerous. If she can manage completely, go to whatever she wants, she knows that the only thing that she needs to wait is for this person to fall asleep, and then she have full access.
Yeah. Kind of a bit like Inception as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Freddy Krueger. You are just there, and then you can create a full nightmare.
Yeah. Oh, it is terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah. So obviously at this point it's just a speculation between Zayden and Violet. So they're trying to say like how you had this dream with somebody else or another occasion, and then she remembered the dream with Maren. So she just starts to get dressed. Zayden goes as well with her. They're going to see Maren and they start to ask her if she had this portrait that she saw in the dream. And yes, she have it. Violet see that, and then like, shit, yes, I've seen this before, so yes, I'm a dream walker. And they're talking a little bit about like how important is Maren's family for her and that kind of stuff. And then is when we get the alarm, wyverns are coming, we are under attack. That's the end of this chapter. Okay, chapter 51. Quickly.
Epigraph. Epigraph. For maximum potential, riders should be stationed close to their villages if possible. Nothing is a more effective motivator than seeing one's home on fire. Tactics Part 2, a personal memoir by Lieutenant Lyron Panchek.
I mean, it's effective, but a little bit sadist. You had soldiers there to protect their own home, but at the same time, you are so stressed. Maybe just thinking about your family there. I don't know if you will be focused on what you had to do as a soldier or as a rider in this case.
I read it totally differently to that. I think you can take the word motivator, knowing what Panchek becomes. You can take the word motivator to be motivation to channel, to turn. And nothing would be a more effective motivator than to channel to protect your home.
Yes.
Just like that Venom woman that didn't kill her son and children. Although the argument against that is that then you're just turning a load of people Venom who can still love. But I think if you think about where he's going, and then you know that he is in Erasure at this point, he knows that Violet is in Erasure. He knows that she will do anything to save Erasure, to save Zayden's home. He's given them the information. That's why they're attacking now, because Violet's there. They think that she's more likely to turn when she's in Erasure than she is in Basgiath, because she's more likely to turn to protect Zayden's home than she is to protect Basgiath.
Yeah.
So I think this is the motivation for the attack. I think Violet says at some point that means someone from Basgiath, they know that she's there. Someone from Basgiath told them. It was obviously Panchek.
Yeah.
Or Kaori. But we think it was Panchek. It was on the page, it's Panchek.
Officially, I think, yes, Panchek. But
Yeah.
I think it's more than one. Panchek, it was just one of them. They went to the light or the dark, I guess, how you want to take it.
Definitely the dark. No, you're taking it.
And this attack, Zayden started to call all the people that he has available. Brennan is there, and then Brennan told that Suri and Ulysses are not there. They are in other places. Which for me, when I read it, for me was like, well, that's a little bit convenient. So I know that, yes, there might be a lot other issues, other stuff going on. But this is something that it was just matter of time. Like Wyverns coming to attack Erasure, it wasn't like what if, it will be like when it will happen, because the world estimation there may be less than a month. So whatever other issue there could be in the province or other places, I think should be like a second priority. Erasure, being everyone there prepared for when this attack comes, should be like priority one. So for me, not seeing Suri or Ulysses there, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be actually have like a really good excuse for not being there. Or they knew the Wyverns, they were coming, and they just, have some business to attend somewhere else, and then just go.
So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think it is suspicious because of all the shit that's going on. Like the Palladium, they're stopping the shipments to Navarre. Yes, that's political, but it's also an act of war. It's essentially like cancelling a trade route, isn't it? That's like it could be seen as an act of civil war. Then you've got... where's Tervain is not on the map, but I think I would hazard a guess that it is up near the Khaldir border. Tensions are getting really, really high between Navarre, between Khaldir and Tirandor. Yes, there's a big cliff because it's on a plateau, but I do think that there's a lot of activity on the border between Khaldir and Navarre, because we know that Holden's putting his troops there, but it's slightly later in the book, but I think this is the start of it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is a big threat at the moment. Felix is around. I know he's not a general, but he's in the assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Brennan is the head of the assembly when
Xaden
isn't there. So I do think they've got important things going on up in Llewellyn and Tervain. I don't know where Tervain is, but I'm guessing if I had to place it, I would put it up near Caldear.
Yeah.
I don't like Surrey, but I don't think she's...
I felt suspicious from day one. The silver streak and the hair, the way that she reacted until Violet, and now not being here when she's been needed the most.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot going on and also they're down quite a lot of riders because they've had to take over the outposts. When a new CEO takes over, they spend like a lot of time in the first months traveling around the different offices and the different sites and like meeting people and showing face and doing all that stuff. And I think Ulysses and Suri are probably doing a lot of that as well, because these outposts are now manned by Tyrish riders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on for the Tyrish forces at the moment because they've split, haven't they?
Yeah. Makes sense. Still not convinced. But
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Brennan says the wards are still up. If they weren't, we'd know. Giving, like, I don't think Brennan is Venom, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Giving him the benefit of the doubt, yes, they would know when the wards fall. You can feel magic feels wilder. He like tilts his head. That makes me think it's a bit odd. Like, we would know. Is he talking directly to Xaden? We as Venom would know. I genuinely do not think he's Venom at this point, because if he were, I believe he would have channeled to save Mira's life. He would have had all that magic at his fingertips, and he did not channel. Unless the rune physically stops him from channeling. If it did, why wouldn't he give Xaden that knowledge? That the rune stops him from channeling?
It's because I'm still thinking that he's a puppet, so there's a lot of things that he would like to do, he would like to say, but he is maybe not allowed, or he physically can't do it because he's under like a spell or something.
From Naelin.
So that's time when you said that maybe he is like maybe hearing something, maybe talking to him. I think maybe it's the sage or Naelin talking to him, because we had a moment like this at the end of Iron Flame as well, when he was saying I couldn't stop her. I'm convinced that he's not talking about his mom. I'm convinced that he was talking about the sage saying that he couldn't stop Violet to bring the wolves back.
Yeah, and Sloane from...
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but he doesn't want Violet to go. He's very, like, protective.
Yeah, so in certain point, he's still being Brennan. I'm not saying that he's completely fake, but he is not 100% himself.
Yeah.
Like, controlling his will.
Yeah. And that just jumped out at me as like we would know if the wards went down. Yeah, it could be a clue.
Yeah.
This is the part that Bodhi comes in and he's raging. Like, the wrath of Bodhi is really evident here. He's saying, I will be at your side. He's really angry that Xaden won't let him go. Xaden says, we will not lose Tyrann. You're the only one left. Our family will not lose Tyrrendor because of your ego. And Bodhi's like, no, we'll lose it because of yours.
Your ego,
yeah. But the fact that he says, I will be at your side, this all just makes, it's like another tick, I say tick in the box or nail in the coffin for Bodhi being the Venom. But I genuinely think that Xaden, that Bodhi does want to be at his side at this point. But when we get to chapter 55, there's so many clues in there. So we'll save it for that. But this is something that is driving a wedge between Xaden and Bodhi. If Bodhi is the Venom brother, which we suspect he is,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a good thing. I think there's going to be a big fight between Bodhi and Xaden, and Xaden's going to have to kill Bodhi. If the Venom brother is Garrick, which I'm leaning to Bodhi, but I do understand why people think it's Garrick.
Yeah.
I think that could be a good thing, because I think Garrick will be doing it to babysit Xaden. If it's Bodhi, it's game over.
I think this chapter, yes, there's two things to take in consideration about Bodhi. The first one, like you say, he said, I'll be by your side. For me, that's kind of like foreshadowing as well, that he's going to be next to Satan no matter where he goes. So that is one. The other one is when Satan says that, no, he need to stay. And Bodhi says, why? Because I can't use my signal in battle, because I'm lethal as well on the air. So he had like accomplished that his signal is not powerful or can't do anything against Venom. So again, he's like, it's not good enough.
He's got a complex, yeah. He's got a complex. I feel for him, I really do. And I would suggest, we said this in our live episode about where Xaden goes at the end, but I would suggest everyone goes and rereads chapter 55, because there's just so much in it. And when we get there, we will talk a little bit more about it. And then if you still think it's Garrick, come back after you've reread 55.
Something that I say in the live event as well, before prepare for that specific event, I was 100% it was Bodhi. But then after that, I was like 60% sure this Bodhi.
Wow, do you think it's 40% Garrick?
Yes, those are like really good hints.
Yeah. But I'm still 80-20.
Yeah, but obviously Rebecca Yarros knew what she was doing here. She was given multiple options. The good question is, does Rebecca Yarros know who is the brother?
Maybe she's just waiting to see how she feels when she opens that plugin again.
Yeah, it's going to be this one.
Yeah. It could be either. It could be either. I do think, though, that it's Bodhi, and I do think that he turns for bad reasons to prove himself. Power, revenge, not love.
Yes.
I think he'll be lost, and I think Xaden will kill him.
I said from the beginning, Bodhi sounds like the perfect villain against Satan if he can counteract Satan's shadows first, and also the instinct as well, the intrinsic thing that he does in fighting. So it will be just hand to hand, and Bodhi is good fighter as well.
Yeah.
So all the chaos that's going on here, the rider has to fly. The first year they had to stay, and then when Violet's getting ready to leave, Eric is the one who goes and says to Violet, "You need to protect the Temple of Dune." And she was like, "What? What he's talking about?"
I'd understand if it was an Earl, but
Yes.
yeah.
And then Eric said, "No. If you want to win this war, you have to protect that temple."
It's how you saved Hirondor. But
Yes.
he whispers it. He's like, it's how you save. Oh, it's really sad.
Yes. So Violet, obviously at this point, she had no clue what's going on with him. But here is again another proof that Eric, he knows now about his signet, and now is working with the signet.
Yeah, he's honing it himself. He's not getting any help, is he?
No.
He wouldn't admit it.
No, because probably there will be another one that will be dangerous if he knows.
I don't
everything.
know. I think it changes warfare. Like, I think this is a Melgren,
It's
same
not just
as
warfare;
Melgren.
it's everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when they were in Basgaya, when he was holding all the people before this Duke was opening the door, that wasn't war or anything, but he saw it coming.
I guess the only danger is Melgren. If Melgren sees that this guy is going to be the future, the general, would Melgren take matters into his own hands? It depends how power hungry Melgren is.
Yeah.
But I also felt that Mulvick was part of the Empyrean. I just got vibes of that. I don't know why I got vibes of that, but Mulvick appears to be quite old.
We don't know if he's, the head of the den, but...
Don't know. But I feel like what Violet says in this, she gets annoyed with him. And she's like, so help me, Malik, if another noble of Navarre is making deals behind my back. I mean...
like who she is.
Yeah, who is she? They've got more authority to do that than she has. He's like third in line to the throne. He can do what he wants.
Yeah. It's funny, like Violet put in this kind of situation.
Yeah, and I'm also going to point people back to chapter 55, where we find somebody else, another noble, one a bit closer to home, seems to be doing another deal behind her back.
Yes, there's so many things going on in this chapter.
I know.
Yes.
I know. We do get to hear a bit about Zanal's temple. All the temple attendants are like running or fleeing. They're like running around, getting into their temple. Apart from the Zanal temple attendants who are just pissed. They're just drinking on the steps. They're getting drunk. I have now a theory that the Zelna army, Zanal's army, were all drunk, and that's why they went to the wrong port. They're just like, holiday! And they're on the boat drinking.
They're probably going to be like, it is what it is. Let's see if Zanal is with us.
Zanal's with us.
It's no.
We went to the wrong
lost.
port. Yeah. I don't think they did go to the wrong port. But,
yeah. It's suspicious too. Everything's suspicious.
I know.
Those chapters.
It's like she just sprinkles in like half clues.
Yes. But we're going to have so many answers in book 4 because by book 5 there won't be that many left, I think.
What? Questions?
Yeah.
I think
we had a lot of answers in this one. Like, so there, I never thought
we got loads of answers, but we got loads more questions
as well.
And I feel like I would expect a cliffhanger, even in book 5. Yeah.
To be continued.
Yeah. No, not to be continued, but just a cliffhanger. You like turn over the page and there's nothing there, like this one.
Yeah, I think that was like the end of a really famous TV series. They just end without even cutting out. So it doesn't seem that it was like a proper end.
Yeah, Gavin and Stacey was like that. There was a proposal and you never found...
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, well, you found out in the Christmas special of 2024. But so Rhee is in charge, and Violet is supposed to stick with Rhee. They're supposed to be right at the top, as high up as possible, and then the rest of the squad are defending down below. Rhee is second guessing her leadership. She gives an order via Fierge to Tan. I always wonder how Fierge feels giving Tan an order. Do you think she's like, would you mind very much if we did that?
No, I think she will be like, the human is saying this.
Yeah, the squad leader.
Don't look at me or don't say anything to me. It's her. It's not my call.
Yeah, I imagine so. She's like the squad leader. The squad leader wants this.
No, there's another thing that I don't get it really with all this world building. So we had the dragons. They are like so superior. They are like the one basically they're in command. Nobody say anything to dragons. But the full army is on base of human laws and human stuff. Shouldn't be the opposite. Like maybe Tern. Tern is the second more powerful dragon. He should be like big in the rank of the dragons. The person that he born shouldn't be maybe like a, I don't know, colonel or something like straight away to give it Tern the rank that he should have.
I don't think they need it. I think the dragons, if they did not need the riders for something, they would not have them.
But they need it for the sickness.
And they need it for the signet. I think they need it for the wards, or they need it for the runes. They need them for something
Protection
else. Yeah, they need them for something else. In the sky, Tern is the ranking dragon. And you can see that from Violet and Rhee. So Violet just takes off. Rhee follows her, luckily for Tern. Otherwise, he'd still be a kebab. But the the dragons don't have to listen to so Fierge will say the squad leader is saying this, and Tern says that to Violet, and Violet says she's wrong. Tern doesn't instantly say, no, we're not doing that, back to Fierge. He talks to Violet. So there's still the rider is still semi in control of the situation. Felix gets really pissed off with her, though, that she deserted, or she left her area and re-followed. He thinks that she put them at risk. He doesn't know anything about what Auric has seen and what Auric is saying either. So Felix is really arsey with her in a few chapters' time.
Yeah.
Might even be the next chapter, I don't know. So much happens in these last few chapters. But yeah, she's second guessing her leadership. I don't think Ree is the leader that the squad needs at this moment in time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's maybe just because they are in Arasia and her family is there. So maybe she's thinking, if I have a mistake, I do the wrong call, my family will pay for that if we don't defend it. So, like this epigraph from Panchek saying, if you put the soldiers or the riders in the home and they see them burning, that's going to be like the best motivator to defend it. But also could be a lot of pressure because it's your own family. You don't want anything.
Yeah, and a distraction. You're not going to rest. You're not going to get the rest you need. So that's why I think that epigraph doesn't mean that at all. I think the epigraph means that it's the best motivation to get them to channel from the earth to become Venin.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes sense for the other way around.
That's what we see, because Ree and Iron Flame in the previous battle, she was really sharp with the decision, with the stuff that she was doing. Here, she's like thinking twice what she's doing. She's also
not, though, at the end of the book, and she's not. She is defending her home. I think she's seeing Violet as the true leader, and she's got imposter syndrome. Because you would get that, wouldn't you? You would be like, oh, I'm not as good as her, or I'm not, like, it's not coming as naturally. Because she second guesses herself there as well, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And then Fierge is like, you second guessing your decisions has me second guessing whether I made the right choice at threshing.
Yeah.
Burn.
Ouch.
Yeah. Right. This is where I think we have another tick in the box that Violet can still somehow manipulate time. I know what the haters are going to say already because I've heard it.
Haters are going to hate.
Yeah. Everything seems to move slower as I force my fingers apart, splitting the bolt in two. And there's another, like, counting, and I genuinely still believe that Violet was gifted the Feathertail gift of slowing down time. I don't think it's gone away, and I don't think it will ever go away. I think it was a gift. I don't think it's a signet. And so I'm expecting the barrage of complaints that Rebecca Yarros has said that no rider will have 3 signets. That makes them too powerful.
But it won't be a signet.
This isn't a signet. This is a gift. And I think Rebecca Yarros would exactly do something like that to tell us no one's got 3 signets, but someone might have 2 signets and a gift. Like, that's
I never said they can have 3 powers.
Yeah, exactly. And I just don't think Violet realizes it. The Venin are so powerful, and we've said this. Everything is tipping in. They can, like, vanish and reappear. They can drain the earth really quickly. There is no signet that can match that, apart from Xaden's mushroom cloud of doom shadow. But that's fueled by the Venin side. So I just don't see, like, the manipulating time or have a gift to slow down time. I don't think that does tip the balance too far the other way. I genuinely think that the Venin are a bit too powerful at the moment. And this is just another one. There are so many examples where she says time goes slow, and we've picked them up throughout our deep dive. This is just another one.
Yes, I mean, if you take it from Fourth Wing, the time where Andarna was slowing time, or Violet was doing it, or Andarna was doing it, it's always in stress when it's in battle.
And it's the same similar thing. So when she did it in Ressen, she slowed down time and then she bent.
The
Was that Ressen or was that?
Yeah, Ressen.
Yeah, Ressen. She like bent the lightning around and she just had longer. So I think this is what the Irids were talking about when they said you gifted her something so much more dangerous. I don't think they're talking about dream walking, although dream walking, as we've gathered, as we've worked out, is quite terrifying. I think this is what they were talking about.
But stopping time, it was something that even Satan, the first time when he heard about it, it was surprise.
Yeah.
It was something that had not been here before.
Yeah.
So we all this attack, we see the Theophany is a wyvern as well. So Violet is trying to focus. Turn crash with a wyvern, and then is when Violet sees that her own pain has been replaced by Turn's pain. And that is the end of the chapter.
Yes. So, shall we move on to Oryx Auguries, the part of the show where we recap our favourite theory in the hope that we will get at least one right in advance of book 4.
Yeah, at least one.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to pick the we don't know all the truth about how sickness work. Dragons are lying. They're not telling the full truth about it. And we will find out.
Yeah. On a similar topic, my favourite one is the one we just discussed, that Violet can still manipulate time. I think it fits really well with Andana's waiting for 650 years before she hatched, and all the little receipts of times that it's happened.
Yeah.
Sticking with the theme of precognition, let's look at the epigraph for chapter 52 next week. Dedicating oneself to temple work isn't just a noble pursuit. Becoming high priest or priestess is the closest most of us will get to touching the power of the gods. The rest are riders. Major Rory's Guide to Appeasing the Gods, 2nd edition.
It's interesting. We have something to say next episode, surely.
Yes. Shall we enter the interrogation chamber?
Okay, let's go to the interrogation chamber.
Last week, we asked, we're on rune rotation. If you could make a rune for anything in your life, what would it be?
I think I will go for like a room, like a finder. Something that everything that I lost, I just find it.
I could do with that. You don't lose as much stuff as I lose.
Yeah, but when I lose it for good.
You would also put that rune on everything that I
Yes, so every time you come to me, wait for... Boom.
You are really good at finding things. I think that's one of your personal strengths.
Yeah, I think I get the gift from my mom. There are a lot of time like, Mom, I can't find this. How you look there? Yes, look, it's not there. She comes right there on top and like, what? How this happens? Magic.
Yeah, well, that's like what happens to me and you. I'm surprised that you would say that. I think I would give you a rune to water the plants.
Yes, something that maybe once per day you start to lose water and I can put it somewhere. Yeah, that would be a really nice one.
That's a sign. I'm going to ask you what you think I should have. So, 2 runes. Am I allowed 2?
Depend.
I have to decide. One is a rune on my coffee cup to keep it hot, because I microwave my coffee so much throughout the day.
I give you something similar on Christmas that you're not using.
I did use it the other day. Well, I used it to melt epoxy resin. It gets so hot, it's dangerous.
Is it?
Yeah. So this rune would like only be activated just as I'm going to take a sip. It would know.
Yeah.
Then it would like blast heat. I don't want to be too hot. Like, I love my present, thanks. It's a bit dangerous. And then the biggest problem I have, the bane of my life, is trying to decide what to cook for dinner every day. I had to make 3 decisions today. I I know it's a weekend, breakfast, lunch and dinner, but I just feel it every single day. A rune that just knows what I want to make for dinner. That would be really good.
Maybe you can use Alexa for that. Say, Alexa, I had this, what can I make? And then she will say, sorry, I didn't get that.
I'm sorry, I can't help you with that, as usual. What would you give me?
Probably my
Finding rune, yeah.
That will be really useful for you. For the card case, use the rune. For the phone, use the rune. For the card. Yeah.
That makes me feel like I'm the biggest problem in your life that needs to be solved because I'm the one that always loses things. That's so funny. And you're not saying no.
No. Come on. No.
Okay, move on.
Yeah, next week. Moving on.
Next week it will just be fantasy, not so faithfully fantasy.
Was it faithfully fantasy? Interrogation ad.
Right, this week in the interrogation chamber, if you had to fly into battle to protect Dune's temple, taking only something from our house, what would you take as the weapon?
Oh.
I already know what I'm taking.
Do you?
Yeah. Feel free to drop your answers in the comments because we really do like reading them. I think we'll start sharing them. We're going to start sharing them on Instagram as well. So
yeah.
Before the episode, we won't share our answers. That will be a secret.
Yes.
But yeah, we look forward to hearing your answers as well. So with that, that's all we've got time for this week. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. We're most active on Instagram, so come and join the conversation. We love to hear your theories. So if you've got a theory, we always try to give credit, send it our way, because let's be honest, the best theories come from all of you.
And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
We'll see you next week with more theories, more deep dives, and of course with more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye.